Hello Scenesters, this is Movie Review Justin here at Psychology and Movies, and today we will be discussing the concept of purpose, and using the 2005 film Kingdom of Heaven as our example. That's what we do at Psychology and Movies. We take advanced concepts that might be difficult to grasp, but then we find movies to use as examples so that we understand better. So let's get into it. So when we talk about purpose in a general sense, it normally means how something functions, like when we say the purpose of a dishwasher is to wash dishes. In the clinical sense, we normally are talking about the highest level of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization. This pyramid is a type of graph representing people's needs that must be met before they can reach the next level, but there's only a few levels. The levels are our physiological needs, safety needs, social needs, self-esteem needs, and then eventually our need to self-actualize, or become the best version of ourselves. When we reach this level, we have discovered our ultimate purpose, and the reason why we were put here on this planet. Now that we've briefly summarized the hierarchy of needs, let's talk about purpose in the clinical sense and sort of use Maslow's pyramid as well as this wonderful movie, Kingdom of Heaven, to talk about purpose and how you can develop purpose in your own life. When humans first become independent, their initial goals are simply having food, shelter, and safety. Our thinking when we are at this level tends to be very short-sighted and not very friendly or social when the only thing on our minds is how to survive for the day. Obviously, our purpose on the most basic level is just to survive and procreate. But naturally, as we get better at meeting our primary needs, our purpose evolves. It goes from hunting and gathering, to building and securing, to forming communities, to the pursuit of power and popularity. And past all of that, when we are not acting out of need, greed, lust, or pride, and we are acting out of principle, we have achieved our highest level as human beings, having purpose and self-actualization. So, without further ado, let's talk about Kingdom of Heaven and its wonderful portrayal of finding and having purpose. We're going to talk about several components of purpose Balian demonstrates, and each level will be a more and more powerful way of building purpose as they progress. And lastly, finish with why having purpose is so important to our health and well-being. But if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to show your support and help the channel reach more people. Showing your support is free and helps motivate me to keep making more content and hopefully help people by sharing positive, uplifting messages. Thank you for getting this far. Now let's get back to the video. For context, Kingdom of Heaven is about a young man named Balian that loses his newborn child and wife right as the movie starts. In the wake of this awful tragedy, Balian resolves himself to stay in his small community and simply work mindlessly to numb out the pain, but finds himself getting swept up in a crusade to Jerusalem. I'm skipping over a lot of details to avoid spoilers, but Balian arrives and has to start a new life from scratch, but because of his principles and virtue, principles being rules we guide our lives by, he quickly gains the respect and support of many great figures in the region. He quickly gains OG status. Balian arrives in Jerusalem seeking redemption for a life full of regrets, and quickly discovers new opportunities with new purpose, serving and leading the local community, eventually stepping up to protect Jerusalem when the time arises. So, now that we know the context, let's talk about a few components of purpose Balian discovers, and let's see if it helps you with any ideas for seeing your own purpose more clearly. Number 1. Helping others. We really couldn't have any list about purpose without including the concept of helping others. When main character Balian arrives in Jerusalem, he inherits lordship over his father's estate and servants. Rather than live out his days piddling about and being a man of leisure, he immediately springs to action, assessing his community's needs. He finds out they need water and helps them build wells. And he doesn't simply order his men to do it, he jumps right in the trenches and does a lot of the heavy work himself, to show that he is no better or more important than any of them. Purpose should always show compassion and help improve the circumstances of the people around you. That's why it's number 1 on our list. Number 2. Protecting others, even your enemies. Standing up for others is often difficult but very important to do. The most obvious example of protection is when Balian's fief, meaning his land, is caught in the crossroads of a potential war. He defends his people against desperate odds, and later does so again during the final climax of the movie. But it goes so far beyond that as well. Balin protects his people from false religious rhetoric and fanaticism, but what really separates him is how he goes above and beyond to try and protect even his enemies or people that would be considered undeserving. The reason why this is so important is because it shows his judgment is never clouded with anger or resentment, but always with wisdom and clarity. In order to have true purpose, we must let go of resentments and negative feelings in order to embrace our true purpose. Because aside from John Wick or maybe Bruce Lee, no one's main purpose is revenge. Number 3. Exploring. Balin arrives in a new land with a lot of exploring to do. Exploring always causes us to level up and grow as humans, and automatically get drawn like magnets towards new skills to learn, situations that need our help, and maybe even exciting new people that might fit our purpose. But it doesn't just have to be visiting new places or meeting new friends. Even practicing hobbies or studying build our character, and all the better if they are new. So try a new recipe or a new outfit. When we embrace new things, we increase our depth as people, as well as receive more opportunities to showcase our talent, character, and other wonderful attributes. Exploring and trying new things always requires a sense of bravery, but it gives us more tools as humans and more layers of appreciation and gratitude for things. Number 4. Rejecting all false desires. You might have noticed I've hinted at this in the other sections. Have you ever heard of something described as base? That normally means our most basic desires, which are in constant fluctuation and very short-sighted. It's basically the negative traits of being too preoccupied with any of the other lower levels on that pyramid that I showed you from earlier. For physiological, it can look like gluttony. Safety, it can look like cowardice and desertion. For social, it can look like codependence or groupthink. And at the self-esteem level, it can look like pride, jealousy, and envy. To make sure our decision-making and thoughts are matched up with our true purpose, they must be free of all those things that I just listed. There's no way we can live up to our full potential if we sacrifice our principles over safety, riches, or fame. Let's look at this asshole as an example. I'll just let the clip play and speak for itself.
Leave the city.
How exactly, my Lord Bishop?
The fastest horses from a lesser gate.
And the people?
It is unfortunate about the people, but it is God's will.
This is not to say those other needs aren't important, but we can never let our false desires or base needs override our principles. This component is so important to having purpose that I wanted to save it for closer to the end. Number 5. Developing principles. I saved the most important for last, but all of these are important components towards discovering and fulfilling our true purpose. Principles are guidelines we try and live our lives by while being mindful enough to see if we are living our principles. That means we don't just say we believe in something, but our actions also show that we mean business. Luckily, we as humans get to choose and form our own principles. Living according to your own principles gives you a wonderful feeling that has allowed prophetic men to survive harsh conditions like jail or imprisonment. And not living according to your own set principles will fill you with shame and despair. Without principles in general, we have no guidelines to follow, and so we are just kind of in sandbox mode with no plot to our life. We have insomnia, depression, anxiety, and lethargy. And when someone describes themselves as feeling like they have no purpose, clinically it describes people as feeling stuck or depressed. They might feel life is meaningless and so will feel very tired and unmotivated a lot of the time, as well as having difficulty completing tasks or managing their life. We won't be functioning as a full human being, but just as a cog in a machine or an animal in a pen. But by living our principles, we never have to worry about betraying our conscience or having to second-guess ourselves. We won't ever feel like life is just drifting by because we will have taken the helm and be steering our life with purpose. Purpose is the deepest motivation there is, and people acting on purpose do so with the clearest thinking and wisdom that there is. When our motivations are food, shelter, fame, etc., Our thinking will always be clouded by hunger, jealousy, pride, etc. When our motivations are our principles and discernment, we possess righteousness, creativity, and purpose. In the spiritual equivalent to those from a religious background, we possess Holy Spirit. This has been Movie Review Justin with Psychology in Movies. Can you come up with 10 principles that you try and live your life by? Post some in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and just a reminder to like and subscribe. Stay healthy and informed.